Okay. Mazliet tālāk no savu datoru. Tā, mikrofons. Ūdens ir. Ūdeni piemīt izlas. Īpaši. Okay, guys, please take your seats, make your coffees. Thank you for the first guys that did come in early and actually on time. And the rest are coming as they are. So, if you could switch your phones on buzzers or silencers. And then we have, so this event is relaxed, chilled event with the main mission to try to unite Latvians in a neutral territory, London. And we are welcome. Probably the most famous Latvian Bitcoin expert or pioneer, Kristaps.
Okay. Hello. Yeah. Okay, my name is Kristaps. What my talk will be about is about some current developments that happening in Bitcoin space. So briefly about me, BB stands for Before Bitcoin. My background is like computers, programming, and in 2013 I started like seriously to get into Bitcoin. I have heard about Bitcoin before that even, but as a lot of people initially I thought, oh, that's some kind of scam, Ponzi scheme or whatever, and I didn't get into it back then. There was actually interesting the thing that when Bitcoin costed $1, a friend of me offered me one free Bitcoin. But I said, no, not interested. Well, it was a very bad decision. So yeah, I'm contributing to some open source Bitcoin projects. Bitcoin Core, which is basically main implementation of Bitcoin protocol, Join Market, which is Bitcoin privacy thing, and C Lightning, which is like payments network on top of Bitcoin blockchain. Yeah, you can find me in Twitter, GitHub, Kristaps Kaupe. This is my email. This is my PGP fingerprint, which most of you don't care mostly, but that's kind of proof that it's really me. So, why Bitcoin? There is this popular opinions like Bitcoin, it's old, it's granddaddy, it's dinosaur, it's like first generation blockchain, now we have third generation. I forgot another one, like Bitcoin is like MySpace, but there should be Facebook and Bitcoin will die out. And I disagree to that because, well, MySpace, Facebook comparison is totally wrong because Bitcoin is not a company. It's a network protocol, and with network protocols, they usually don't change so often. For example, the internet is built on the basically protocols that's developed in 70s, and people just improve them instead of replacing them with new protocols. So, Bitcoin approach. You know, in Silicon Valley, it's popular that you move fast and break things, and then if something breaks, you just fix it, and it's probably right approach with centralized system. But Bitcoin is decentralized, so if you break things, it's very hard to fix them. So the approach is with the base protocol to move slow, don't break things, make sure that you don't make big mistakes. Second is the realization that blockchains don't scale, or they scale very bad. One example is like Visa Scale, which was, I think, more than 3,000 transactions per second. If you would want to do that on Bitcoin blockchain, it would take 500 megabyte blocks each 10 minutes. So a lot of bandwidth, lot of storage space for the nodes. But we can build things on top of Bitcoin blockchain. That's why multiple layers. So instead of instead of doing everything on the blockchain, we could build layer 2 protocols on top of it, and it has some advantages. For example, in layer 2 protocol, if we make some mistake, only people using that layer 2 protocol are affected, but not all the users of Bitcoin. So, what are key properties of Bitcoin? I think that's very important to realize, because on top of that, then you make decisions how to do things. And I think there are three important properties. Basically, those are three things that you cannot build on top of legacy financial system. First is predictable monetary policy, that we always know how much Bitcoins there are. We cannot do that with USD or British pounds. Second is censorship resistance, which basically means I can send money to anybody at any time, and no central authority can stop me from doing that. Not so with existing banking system, for example. Sometimes your payments just don't get through because, well, bank don't like this incoming transaction or outgoing. And third is unconfiscatable. Yeah, it's if you store Bitcoins properly, there are no way for, let's say, government to take them away from you, unless you voluntarily give them. And all those three properties requires decentralization, because if something is centralized around few companies or entities, then it's very easy for government to dictate any rules they want. So, challenges. I think, yeah, these are like top 5 challenges, problems we have in Bitcoin. The first is like, yeah, decentralization. We should keep Bitcoin decentralized, and in some aspects it is maybe too centralized currently, and we should work towards decentralizing it more. Fungibility, the problem of the nature of the public blockchains is that all transactions are public, all the history of your Bitcoins is kind of public, so there is problems with fungibility and privacy. Like fungibility, for those who maybe don't know, it's the idea, let's say crude oil or gold are fungible goods. That means that every gold bar costs the same as any other gold bar. But if you can trace full Bitcoin history, then some company could just decide we will not accept those Bitcoins because, 5 hops before it was used in, I don't know, some darknet, buying drugs or whatever. But that fungibility is critical for money to be good money. Then scalability, of course, and as I mentioned previously, blockchains doesn't scale too well, but like in Bitcoin blockchain currently, on the blockchain we could have something like 7 transactions per second, and that's really small number. User experience, of course. Bitcoin, we need to admit, it's kind of hard to use if you are not a technical person. Like ideal would be that your grandma could use Bitcoin, but we are not there. So, first problem, miner centralization. I think this is the one the people are talking most about. And by the way, on this previous slide, these are challenges for all blockchain-based cryptocurrencies. It's if some cryptocurrency guys will tell you, no, we have solved everything. Either they don't know what they are talking about, or they are just selling you lies. Because, yeah, for example, you can have maybe scalability, but then you will have more centralization because your hardware requirements for running nodes will be big. Yes, miner centralization. The problem is if some entity in mining controls more than half of the hashing power, they basically can censor transactions and do a lot of stuff we don't want them to do. Question, how much hashing power is in China? You know, everybody talks about mining centralization in China. The answer is, we actually don't know. We have some public statistics about the mining pools, and I think Chinese mining pools are about half of the hashing power or even above. But we don't know physically how much miners are in China. For example, biggest pool right now I think is BTC.com. But I know Bitcoin miners in Latvia that uses that pool for their miners. Because pools are usually public. They have their own mining farms, their own hashing power, but they allow other people also to use their pools. And yeah, and the problem with pools is the pools are those who decide which transactions goes into block. You as an individual miner currently just connect your miner to the pool, but you are not in control. And one possible solution is the Stratum version 2 protocol. It's like new protocol how miner communicates with the mining pool. And it has various things inside, but I think the most important is that it allows individual miner to control which transactions goes into the block. The idea is that if your miner will be that one lucky that found the block, it's possible now with Stratum 2 that you can run your own Bitcoin Fullnode and you control everything. Your pools are not controlling which transactions goes into block, blah, blah, blah. And if everybody would be using Stratum v2 protocol, we could in theory have maybe 1 or 2 mining pools, because the mining pools will be only communicating through the miners and then distributing the block rewards, the profits, but not deciding about individual transactions. Yeah, fully validating nodes. Basically, for those who don't know, nodes are basically it's the software that validates everything that happens on the Bitcoin blockchain. It enforces the rules that nobody cheats. That, for example, miner doesn't produce more Bitcoins than he is allowed, or that you don't spend your Bitcoins twice, or you don't spend Bitcoins that doesn't exist. And yes, in ideal world we would like to have more full nodes than we have currently. Currently, it's I think in tens of thousands in the world. The number of nodes. There are some sites that give statistics about 10,000, but no, actually there are more nodes. 10,000 are nodes that expose their IP address, like open ports that others can connect to them, but that's not a requirement actually. And yeah, basically, if you are some business or just as a person, you receive significant amounts of Bitcoin, you probably should run Node. There are multiple aspects. First is with simple payment verification wallets, like you usually have on mobile phone. There are some ways how can some bad guys cheat on you, and with significant amounts, of course. Yeah, if you have, like, if you receive 10 euro pound worth of Bitcoin, maybe you don't care. Well, nobody will try maybe to cheat you on small amount, but with bigger amounts. Or other way how people use Bitcoin that they shouldn't, but they use some exchanges as their wallets. I know at least one person here who does that. The problem is, if you use exchange as your wallet, you basically lose a lot of properties of Bitcoin. There is no censorship resistance anymore. Exchange can block your account or block your transactions at any time. They can confiscate your Bitcoins at any time. So
sometimes you just trust.
Yeah.
More than your computer.
Yeah, but we already have system where you trust third party with your money. It's called banks, and I will trust actually bank more than some shady exchange somewhere.
Are you talking about Binance now?
Yeah, also Binance, yes. So with fully validating nodes, of course, this is kind of like more for the technical persons, but I see cool developments has happened in the last year. First, there are nice tutorials written now. If you are technical enough to copy paste commands from the documentation, it's not so hard nowadays to set up Fullnode. Also, there are companies offering the plug-and-play solutions. Basically, you order just a box, you plug it into network, it has web interface, and it works. It's similar how you do nowadays with, let's say everybody has a router at home, right, nowadays, but 15 years ago it wasn't so. 15 years ago, only some tech people had routers at home. Well, it was, I think, iPhone changed that. Everybody wanted multiple devices connected to internet. AB Core, yeah, Android Bitcoin Core, that's actually also cool stuff. You can run Fullnode on the Android device. And I think there was, the cheapest way is actually to buy some cheap Chinese Android TV boxes, and you can put Fullnode on that one. Or some people just reuse their old laptops. Like you buy a new laptop, you have an old laptop, you just install Fullnode software and keep it running. It's cool, it's quiet and doesn't consume much power. And the thing is, now there are multiple mobile wallets that you can connect to your Fullnode. So instead of trusting some central authority, you connect software in your mobile phone to your home. I actually have one wallet that's connected to my home computer using Tor anonymity network from my iPhone. Yeah, privacy stuff. As you know, well, Bitcoin blockchain is public ledger. All the transactions are public. Yeah, there is kind of not your name, surname tied to every transaction, but let's say you buy Bitcoins on Coinbase. Coinbase has your passport, all information of you, and there are information that they probably sell that information to third parties that do blockchain analysis. So there is interesting idea called CoinJoin, which actually was possible since the day one in Bitcoin, but only in year 2013 some people just came up with the idea. And takes advantage of coin model of Bitcoin protocol. The idea is that in Bitcoin protocol you don't have accounts. Instead of that, every incoming transaction in your wallet, you can see it as individual coin. Like imagine how you use cash. Yeah, you have like some, I don't know, £5 bills, £10 bills. Difference is that it could be in any amount. And when you spend Bitcoins, you take, let's say you have somebody sent you 1 Bitcoin, you need to somebody to send half Bitcoin, then you will hold that Bitcoin, send half Bitcoin to other party, and you get another half Bitcoin as a new coin, as a change inside your wallet. And the idea is that, well, Bitcoin white paper has assumption if, and Bitcoin transactions can have multiple inputs, multiple outputs. That's a trick. And Bitcoin white paper says that if transaction has multiple inputs, then you could assume that all those inputs are from the same wallet controlled by the same person. Well, it's not true. People has come up now with the protocols how multiple persons coordinate together automatically and build a transaction together. And you end up with a transaction that multiple people put inside their Bitcoins, and in the output you have multiple outputs with the same amount of Bitcoins. And it means that you cannot know which person sent to which of those equally sized outputs Bitcoins. I know Helmut's like Dash. That's basically how Dash private send works. It's also a coin join idea, but in Bitcoin protocol they are kind of better. So yeah, there are three implementations actually which uses this technique. Join market is the one I'm working on. Also, yeah, Linux, Mac. You can run it on Windows, but it's difficult. Basically, you just take Windows 10, install Ubuntu Linux inside Windows 10, and then run join market. So I would say it's kind of not Windows, and it's not very user friendly right now. Mostly command line stuff. But there are 2 wallets that are more user friendly. One is Wasabi wallet, just simple one-click install on your computer, and there is that idea. You get some Bitcoins inside, and then you can mix with other people using Wasabi wallet, and when it goes through the mixing process, you have Bitcoins that not tied to your identity. And Samurai wallet has similar things for the Android. Yeah, unfortunately, no solutions such for iPhone yet. So, Schnorr signatures. That's protocol change. So-called soft fork. Well, what is? Maybe you have heard about the hard fork, soft fork thing. Basically, hard fork is backwards incompatible change to the protocol. Soft fork is backwards compatible change. Basically, it means if you implement new feature as a soft fork, you can still run your old node or wallet. It will still work. You will be able to do everything that you were able to do before. You just don't take advantage of the new features of protocol. With hard fork, not so. With hard fork, everybody needs to update their software, or just it doesn't work for them. And Schnorr signatures, like in Bitcoin, currently we use ECDSA. It's called Elliptic Curve Digital Signature Algorithm. And Schnorr signature algorithm is kind of better, but that guy who invented it, he was selfish bastard, and he patented it. And patent expired actually in 2008, about the same time when Bitcoin came into existence, but there was no open source libraries supporting it. And what's interesting, the ECDSA algorithm, how it was developed, basically people took the Schnorr signature paper and then tried to made it basically worse until it wasn't covered by the patent anymore. So yeah, and cool thing about this Schnorr signature algorithm is it allows so-called signature aggregation. The idea currently is if you have multiple inputs in the Bitcoin transaction, you should sign each input with separate signature, and it takes space. With Schnorr signature aggregation, you can combine all those signatures into one and do one signature. And simply, it basically means you can have transactions that take less space in the blockchain, so you don't need to pay so much in transaction fees. And it makes CoinJoin transactions especially cheaper. And the cool thing is that currently you basically will use CoinJoin only if you care about privacy. With this, it could be that it's just simply cheaper to use CoinJoin transactions. So you use privacy stuff not because you care about privacy, because it's cheaper. And if the more people, there is the idea about privacy, the more people are using privacy technologies, the more private it becomes for everybody. Another proposed change to Bitcoin protocol is called Taproot. In simple terms, currently, when you spend Bitcoins, you can publicly see a lot of information about the wallet from about the wallet from which you send Bitcoins. For example, Bitcoin has this feature of called multisig, or multiple signatures. The idea is that you can have a wallet that needs multiple parties to accept the transaction. And it's good, for example, you run some business, some exchange, you don't want one person to be in control of those Bitcoins. He can just one day disappear with all the Bitcoins, for example. And so exchanges use those multi-sig schemes. And the idea is there is like number of parties that has signature, and some subset of them are needed to send transaction. For example, 3 or 5 multisig would mean like in your company there are 5 persons who can approve the transaction, and you require, let's say, at least 3 of them need to do that. But currently when you send out a transaction from such a wallet, you can see that it was 3 or 5 multisig, and it's there are 2 problems with that. First, it's bad from the privacy, because that wallet is kind of different. You already know something something that's different about that. The second is actually security. It would be better that you don't know how much signatures you need to steal money from some exchange. If you know, oh, it's, let's say, 2 of 3, then it means, yeah, you should somehow get to the 2 of the keys, and you can, I don't know, hack some machines, you can use social engineering, whatever. So yeah, with this Taproot proposal, they make some clever mathematical tricks that some various difficult contracts are, you make them look like just a simple public-private key transaction. I think that's the hottest topic now in the Bitcoin space, Lightning Network. Lightning Network is basically a payment network built on top of Bitcoin blockchain. The idea is that you don't need to record every small transaction into blockchain. You only record in blockchain so-called channel opening, channel closing transactions. And the idea is, yeah, you use bidirectional payment channels. Well, what is payment channel? It's like tab in the bar. For example, you go to the bar, you buy 1 beer, you buy 2nd beer, you buy 3rd beer, and only at the end of the evening you pay. You don't do like sometimes you do, but like it's popular. Bidirectional payment channel, the difference is that money can flow in both directions. In like tab in the bar, you just, it goes one direction from your pocket to the bar. And so yeah, and the idea is that then you can have like a lot of small transactions and you don't record them in Bitcoin blockchain at all. And it has unlimited transactions per second, basically. It depends on how powerful is your computer, how fast internet you have, but there are no hard limits on how much transactions per second you can do. So it provides scalability, but it also provides privacy because no individual transactions aren't recorded in public ledger. And that's kind of cool. Yes, it allows little bit passive income. You can run so-called routing nodes. The idea about that connected in network and routing nodes, the idea is that, let's say Alice has payment channel with Bob and Bob has payment channel with Carol. Then Alice can pay Carol through the Bob. She doesn't need to open direct payment channel. And those nodes in between, they can take small amount of money for the service of forwarding transactions. But that passive income, it's small. I think my routing node in last month earned less than 1 penny in total. But who knows? You know, if it becomes more popular, maybe amounts will be more. So there are three major implementations of Lightning Network Protocol. C Lightning, LND, Eclair. Interesting stuff about C Lightning. One of the top developers of C Lightning, it's called Rusty Russell. Before Bitcoin, he was one of the top developers of Linux kernel, and basically he developed the IP tables, which is network firewall standard like code of Linux kernel. And as Linux runs more than half of the devices connected to the internet currently, his code actually, I think more than half of internet traffic goes through his code. But yeah, now he doesn't work on Linux anymore. He decided Bitcoin is more exciting stuff to work now on. Blue Wallet is actually pretty simple mobile wallet. Everybody can try it. It's just download, few clicks, and it works. And there is Electrum wallet on the computers, which kind of very popular. They will have Lightning Network support, and I think the Wasabi wallet developers say that sooner or later all the Bitcoin wallets should implement Lightning Network to stay in business, because yeah, that's future of Bitcoin payments, maybe, hopefully. Storage of Bitcoins, that's another topic. How do you securely store your Bitcoins? And I think it's not user-friendly. Yeah, you can store it on exchange, that's kind of user-friendly, but that's actually not your Bitcoins. You're trusting exchange that it will give you the Bitcoins. Yeah, but with hardware wallets, like, yeah, the most safest way kind of is hardware wallet, but you have, you know, when you set it up, it gives you some fast passphrase. You write it down on the paper, and like your grandma will not do that. It's too difficult. But there are few interesting developments. OpenDime, for example. I actually wanted to show you OpenDime, but I was in a rush to the airport and I forgot about it. OpenDime is an interesting concept. It's like USB stick. You can deposit Bitcoins to it, but you cannot like spend them. You can spend them only once by physically removing one chip from that USB. Basically, there is like a hole. You just dig in, and it changes the circuit, and then you can spend. The cool idea is that you can. It's kind of like physical Bitcoin. I can pay you not by using blockchain transaction. I can in theory pay you by giving you USB stick, and you can. There's actually solutions how you can really verify that it's authentic, that I'm not cheating and giving you something that just looks similar. Another interesting thing is hardware hot wallet thing. The problem currently is with Lightning Network. For example, if you use Lightning Network, you cannot keep your funds in the hardware wallet, which is kind of like secure storage. That yeah, for those who know how hardware wallets works, basically it's you connect, let's say, to your computer or mobile phone, but the keys required to sign a transaction aren't stored in your computer or mobile device. It's in physical device that you connect to a computer, and it never leaves that device. So computer sends transaction to the hardware wallet, then in hardware wallet you accept it, it signs it, sends back to the computer, and security comes the way that even if your computer is hacked, hacker cannot steal your funds because, well, there is no keys inside your computer. But with Lightning you cannot do that because it's so-called hot wallet. But there are some ideas about how to use such devices with Lightning Network. HSM, it's abbreviation for Hardware Security Module. It's actually used by big enterprises. For example, let's say you can have server that in which you cannot, even if you hack into server, you cannot run whatever software you want. It will ask external device, is this software allowed to run on this server? Maybe you know there is like TV series Mr. Robot. I think they had that in first season or second season when they needed to physically break into data center to have physical access to some device to be able to run custom software on the server. But another interesting thing is about those multi-signature schemes. For example, Blockstream Green Wallet, it's mobile wallet, and it has interesting feature. It uses 2 of 2 multisig scheme, where one key is controlled by you, it's on your phone. The second key is controlled by the company that develops wallet. And then you can configure the threshold, the amount of money. And if your transaction is small, it will sign it automatically. If it goes above the threshold, you will have 2-factor authentication, which could be message or call or stuff like that. And Casa Keymaster, that's another commercial solution, which also uses that multisig scheme. And yeah, and I think the Casa CTO, James Lapp, he was like writing some blog articles about that all this passphrase writing on paper, it's difficult. But idea with multisig, yeah, it's like you don't need to completely trust the third party. You can use third party just as security factor, but the idea is they cannot steal your funds. It's difficult, like in comparison with exchanges, then you trust completely that exchange. Another hot topic, smart contracts. And you know, there's popular saying like, yeah, Bitcoin has no smart contracts and Ethereum has smart contracts. Well, it's not true actually. The multisig, for example, is smart contract, and it's just Bitcoin has simpler smart contracts. And the idea in Bitcoin world is that we shouldn't put smart contracts in, like more difficult smart contracts in the public blockchain. We should build them off-chain. It's like similar how in let's say pre-Bitcoin world, like if 2 parties has some they sign some agreement between themselves, they will not publish them on the newspaper, for example, for all the world. It goes some kind of public only if you have dispute, you go to the court and then you give all the signed papers and then they decide who is right, who is not. But with, let's say, how Ethereum built it, the idea is no, we put everything public and every node in the world will validate our contract. Yeah, and the idea is that we can do a lot of stuff off blockchain and we use blockchain only in case of dispute. And it scales better, it gives privacy and etc. And yeah, one example is RGB protocol. I think most have heard about ERC20 tokens. It's like basically if you want some create your own like token, you most likely will do that on Ethereum using ERC20 currently. RGB protocol is kind of proposed alternative. How can you do that on Bitcoin? And by the way, the idea of doing tokens, you could do that on Bitcoin actually before Ethereum. It's called colored coins, and for example, Tether, USDT, it was originally implemented on top of Bitcoin, but it's kind of not so effective, and you need to record every transaction into Bitcoin blockchain, and it doesn't scale well. So here's the idea about protocol when basically you put on the blockchain only when you create new tokens, but you don't need like every token transfer to be written inside Bitcoin on the blockchain. But we'll see. I'm not completely sure this will work out, because Ethereum near C20, it has network effect on those tokens, and but probably not the most important aspect of Bitcoin is to have every token on Bitcoin. Although if you would like to have, for some reason, censorship resistance and that kind of stuff for your token, then kind of Bitcoin is better than other networks. So more or less that's it. Yeah, I tried to show some stuff that's happening in Bitcoin currently. There's of course a lot more. Some questions maybe.
Is the technology to build tokens on the Bitcoin blockchain, is it what is used or will be used by Kim.com's projects?
From which?
K.im.
I have no. I
yeah.
I don't know details. I think the details are not public. I think that his idea was to build. Didn't talk about those here. So-called sidechains. When you
we are liquid.
Yeah, probably. I'm not sure. Are he doing that on Liquid or doing something else? But it's kind of like sidechain thing. So the idea about sidechain is that you build blockchain that's parallel to Bitcoin blockchain, but you can kind of send Bitcoins, like you freeze Bitcoins in the Bitcoin blockchain, and that creates kind of like Bitcoins on that sidechain, and then you can destroy them on sidechain, and that releases your Bitcoins back in your main chain. What?
But you normally rely on oracles.
On what?
On oracles.
There are various ways how to build sidechains, but yeah, like how Liquid works, there is like federation of, I don't know, some 15 entities or something, and but the idea about Liquid is that they run kind of hardware boxes provided by the blockstream, and they cannot modify them so easily to start do bad things. But of course, yeah, there is some trust involved.
Any more questions?
Guess I was too technical.
Bruno, what is your main question? Why you are
I
here?
don't have questions. I'll talk to you later, privately.
Okay, so, any? No? So, running Lightning node is not profitable either.
Well, currently, yeah, not
Mining
very.
is not profitable. Lightning node is not profitable.
Actually, it was on the slide, but I didn't mention the joint market privacy kind of project where I work on. It also allows to have some passive income. Their idea is that it connects, like there are people who want to do private transaction, joining coins together with others, but you can provide liquidity for that. It's kind of like market taker, market maker approach. And actually, yeah, that one gives a little bit more. I think with that you can, it was something like, it depends, but it would be something like 0.1 to 0.5% per year, which kind of in nowadays negative interest rate environment is maybe not so bad. And that's without giving your Bitcoins to third parties. Actually, the biggest passive income you can have, there are services that you can deposit Bitcoins on them and they will pay you monthly interest. But you are trusting that they will not disappear with your Bitcoins at one day.
Okay, so let us say thanks, and then Kristaps is in your hands.